on all of our platforms.
Great.
Okay, cool. So it looks like we're live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Nobody Studios live stream. We're a venture studio on a mission to create 100 companies in 5 years, and we recently just closed our crowdfunding campaign, which in turn welcomed a bit over 900 new nobodies. So I'm very excited to introduce one of those crowdfunders today. So let's welcome Ms. Emily Tate.
Hi, Katherine. It's great to speak with you today.
Yeah, do you want to give everyone a quick introduction about who you are and what you do, just so everyone's kind of aware?
Sure. So I'm managing director of a company called Mind the Product. We are a global community of product managers in tech. So we exist to help make product managers better at what they do, whether that's through training or content or community and meetups, conferences, just really aimed at kind of serving that product manager community.
Awesome. And how did you come across Nobody Studios? I think Barry had mentioned to me that maybe you guys had known each other from a while back, but just curious how you came across us and what that connection was.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, we do all sorts of different kind of content for product people. And so Barry O'Reilly, one of the co-founders of Nobody Studios, in a prior life, was one of our speakers at a conference, actually at several of our conferences. And so we became friends in the industry, would see each other at different events, and just kind of have kept in touch over the years. So when he and Mark combined to form Nobody Studios, I started following that journey from the very beginning. And found it fascinating. I loved the mission and kind of the place it came from, the place of kind of, the traditional venture model. Even, of course, even today, we see it even more, as funding has gotten tighter and things are not quite the same, free money world that we were in. But, kind of their vision that we could do things differently really spoke to me. So I actually started talking to them in the very early days. I think basically they had ovations off the ground and pitch decks for the first maybe next 3 or 4. And as they were trying to figure out what the model is and how we spin things up and wind them down quickly, figure out, fail fast truly. And so we had some great conversations in the beginning, trying to see kind of where people might plug in and how different things could go. I think I was probably a little too early into it. And then my company got acquired, which of course threw me out of the free time scenario to do anything additional in the background. But I've still been fully on board with that mission ever since. And it's been fun to see what they've done.
Yeah, one of my favorite things, at least, is when I'm, talking to people who have either invested or have joined the team. It's really cool to hear others talk about our values and the little details of our mission and how they align with those things. So it just puts a smile on my face every time, because I'm like, wow, people really, believe in this. And it's so cool to see that kind of come to life, especially through our crowdfunding campaign. So that's awesome. And I know Barry is in Manila. Where are you coming from us today?
I'm based in London now.
Okay, awesome, cool. I'm down in Orange County, California, so we're a bit across the way, but very cool. I also love seeing how people are kind of all over the world in this mission, and it's really cool to meet people from, the complete opposite side of the earth. So
Definitely. I think that's even when I started with Mind the Product, I was living in Texas. And I think the tech community is just inherently global. And while that can be challenging at times when you're dealing with time zones and things like scheduling these types of stuff where I think it's 9 a.m. your time and 5 p.m. my time. So it's always a fun challenge, but I think even more than the challenge is it's actually really fun because you get to kind of see where other people live. You get the experience of other cultures that get infused into the things that we build. And I truly believe kind of the more that we can do that, the better products we'll have.
Right, exactly. It is really cool, and it's something that I had never done before coming into the studio, where half of our marketing team is actually based out of Manila. So for my time, we'll have like a nighttime meeting around 5, which is when they're like kind of waking up and getting their day started. But it's actually really nice because it creates this like endless cycle of, production where I'll hand stuff off to them during my nighttime, and then for their nighttime when I'm just waking up, they can kind of hand stuff back to me. So it is really fun and it's, it's really productive. So it's awesome. Cool. And is there anything else that kind of inspired you about Nobody Studios that really you've seen evolve? Because I know you said you've been following our mission since the beginning. So anything else that inspires you or you find particularly interesting about this mission that kind of intrigued you?
Yeah, I think that, obviously it's a big vision and a big challenge. So 100 startups in 5 years is that is a big number. And that's the kind of thing that you look at it and you say, there's no way to do this in the way that we've always done it, in the way that, like, even forgetting the funding part of it, but in the way that we start and test ideas and, kind of get people on board and get things ramped and moving. If you're going to scale at that level, you have to be able to do things at kind of a hyper speed or in a kind of more lean model. So I think that, and I don't even know the details at this point because I haven't actually gotten to hear kind of where things have landed. But I remember some of those early conversations about, like, what processes do you put in place? And of course, I approach things from a product manager's perspective. So I'm always looking at kind of how do we think about what we're building, what we're putting into it, what experiments do we want to run in order to test these things, and kind of having some initial ideation about, like, okay, now how can you do that at scale with different founders who might not have ever done anything in the tech space before, with kind of lean engineering groups, with all of these kind of different resources, and, like, where do you find the pooled resources at the studio level versus things that you put down into the teams. And I think that it's just kind of it's a big challenge to kind of shake everything up and reevaluate everything from the ground up. I also think the other thing that I loved about Nobody Studios is this concept of, like, you're not incentivized just to pretend that everything's okay and to keep going. It's kind of the concept. It really is, as I said earlier, it's the fail fast mentality, and it's how can we get in, understand this market, understand this kind of problem space that we're living in, and test things really, really fast. And then be willing to admit when the tests don't work the way that we want them, because we know that more of those 100 startups are going to fail than are going to succeed. And I think that kind of what Mark and Barry and the entire team have put in place is kind of an environment where it actually is safe to do that, and you're not necessarily, like, putting your career, putting your life on the line and saying, like, I have to make this work at all costs. So I think that's, we all, of course, we want everything to succeed, but there are times where we can't admit that it's not going to. And so having a space where people can have those conversations and be realistic with themselves and move on to something that has a better chance. I think that that's a really, really great mentality.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, one of the things that is just so apparent to me now that I've been with the studio for almost a year now. So it's coming up on that time where I feel like I'm really familiar with things and how everyone kind of works together. And I'd say the one thing that is the most important to our leadership, as well as everyone within the studio, is to not sacrifice our values for anything. So there's no pointing fingers. There's no saying, well, this didn't work, like, let's dwell on this. It's not like that at all. It's, it didn't work, but we tried our best to get it perfect in a reasonable amount of time. Okay, let's move on. We'll learn from it and move forward. So yeah, it's been really refreshing to work in that kind of environment. And it's just a huge kudos to our leadership team for, like, not only preaching that, but also practicing it. And it's going to help our success in the future as well, just because of how fast we get things done and how we're able to admit, like you said, when we get things wrong, and it's totally okay. So it's really awesome. And I love that you brought that up.
Yeah, we've always said in Mind the Product, we have a team value where we say, if we're not winning, we're learning. Obviously, we prefer to win, but in the spots where we aren't, let's accept it, take the learnings out of it, and move forward.
Yeah, I love that. That's a perfect way of putting it. It's more of you take the experience and you kind of move on, take it and learn from it, rather than dwell on it and kind of be like, okay, well, it didn't work. That's a bummer. Like, no, we'll try something different next time, which is really important when you have such an audacious goal of building 100 companies in 5 years. Because not only are we trying to get those companies off the ground, we're just trying to change company creation for the future and how things are built at a faster, more frugal rate.
That's great. And so you've been there about a year. About how many startups do you think you've seen get off the ground in that time?
Oh, we have a number. I believe we
I'm
have
sure that you have it.
we have a
I didn't
number.
put you on the spot. You could absolutely tell me, but it's
No, we yeah, I'll just talk about the ones that I've been most involved in or kind of dabbled in since my time of being at the studio. We have Ovations, like you talked about before, which I kind of go in and help the marketing at times and just, as the whole marketing team, we kind of not contract, but kind of consult and help where we can in a way. So Ovations is a really big one. I'm really excited for that because as you might see, Ray, our CEO, he's been posting a lot about it. So hopefully looking forward to a lot of bookings and kind of getting that process up. Webdelics, their podcast for everyone who's listening. Webdelics has an amazing podcast. They're sorry, not a plant-based. They're educational on plant-based medicine. So it's really awesome, really informative. The host, Scott Mason, is probably one of the most vibrant people that anyone has ever come across, which is really great. So give that a listen. But yeah, we have Parentipity. There's a couple in the works right now, and just meeting new people who have come into the studio. The Adjacent Possible, the Thought Forma guys. So everything is kind of changing every day here at the studio, new things happening, which is a lot of fun. Hopefully that answered your question
yeah,
okay.
definitely. I think that's great. A lot of variety in there too, which is I'm sure keeps you on your toes.
Oh yeah, one of the biggest things when people ask about the studio, I'm like, well, where do I even begin? There's, I'm in the thick of it, so there's so many different moving pieces, so many things happening. I'm like, I wish I could sit here and tell someone everything about it, but that would take days. And then any advice to anyone who's kind of a first-time investor looking at Nobody Studios, who's interested in maybe getting involved, talking to our team members? Any advice for someone who's kind of new to this whole space and just coming in and wanting to get started?
Yeah, I think for me, opportunities like this with this kind of crowd-funded investing campaign was perfect for me, honestly. I'm not a person who has kind of been fortunate enough to be able to be an angel investor or kind of get to a spot where I can, kind of go out and do a lot of this on my own. But so most of what I have done has been kind of investing in mutual funds or things like that. And seeing something like this where I believe in the mission, I believe in the founders, and it does feel a little bit like, it's a little less risky, I think, than just kind of angel investing in a single startup, because you're basically investing in the 100 startups that are going to be going out over the course of this 5 years. And so kind of giving me a step in where I can kind of be more closely associated with an investment, but not kind of at the same level that I would be if I was trying to like pick one company. I think if I was to give advice to people who were thinking about this, there's a lot, like during the crowdfunding campaign, y'all did a lot of kind of Q&A sessions and videos and, conversations with different people in the studio, people outside of the studio, really helping people understand both what the mission and vision of this studio is and what y'all are aiming for, as well as what this type of investment means. Because as a crowdfunded investment, it is a little bit different than kind of your normal, your kind of normal individual investment. So I would say go back and watch all of those. I'm guessing y'all have them stored somewhere. I know that they're on your Instagram at a minimum. But go find those videos, watch them. They really helped me kind of understand what I was getting myself into and what I was thinking about. And then I think the other side of it is it has to be something that you actually believe in. So, if you're going to commit your money and then, hopefully, if you're interested in it, commit at least some time to looking, following up on it, thinking about it, pitching in where you can, all of those kinds of things. It needs to be something that you have a passion for and that you believe in. So it definitely spoke to me, and I was excited to see this opportunity come about and be something I could be a part of.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. We always try to let people know you don't have to be an accredited investor. You don't have to be, a millionaire, a CEO, or whatnot. You can be anyone, as long as you have a passion and you really believe in what we're doing, then we kind of encourage everyone from all over the world. So that's also like one of my favorite things. And I think one of the biggest things that we tried to get across during the crowdfunding campaign is that this is something that we want to be very accessible to everybody, no matter your history with investing or, company building. Just if you have the passion for it, come along. We'd love to have you. So that's awesome. And I love that you mentioned that as well.
I mean, what the minimum investment was like, what, $20 or something? It was, it's really low. I think about like there are other, more traditional Kickstarters that I have funded in the past for more money than that were completely pointless, that either didn't get off the ground or I got the thing that I bought and realized like, why did I spend money on this? So, for the same kind of amount of energy, effort, money, you can kind of commit to something a little bit longer term. And nothing's guaranteed, and you have to kind of go into these kinds of things not planning on getting a return out of it in the next 6 months or anything, but it's it feels like a positive spot to be.
Yeah, I mean, of course, with any investment, we always, do your own research. That's one of the biggest things that we have to let people know and also want to let people know. So, yeah, definitely. It's one of those things where it's almost worth taking the risk if you believe in it so much. So, of course, things are going to be a risk, but no risk, no reward. So, I think one of the biggest sells for people was our values and just our overall mission. It was something that people had never seen before, which I think is really cool. So, yeah, I think that about wraps things up. Thank you so much, Emily, for joining me today. Is there anything else you'd like to share with anyone or?
No, just I'm excited to see where this goes and to be a part of the journey.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you everybody for watching. We're always looking for our 3 buckets of areas that we say that makes our world go round, which is capital, talent, and influence. So go head on over to nobodystudios.com. You can sign up for our newsletter, stay updated, join some talent roundtables. We'll be making sure to post about those. So make sure to follow us or visit our link tree and you can stay updated on everything. So thank you, everyone.